Good evening, friends, and welcome to Pause with the people of Trinity United Church here in Prince George, British Columbia. As we begin to pause, we do so acknowledging the traditional territory upon which we find ourselves, that of the Lheidli T'enneh, and we give thanks for the way that they have stewarded Creator's resources for over 9,000 years on this part of Turtle Island. Special welcome to anyone who's part of the UNBC family, students, staff, faculty. If you're part of UNBC, we're glad you're here. February is Black History Month. And so once a week, we're going to spend some time focusing our pause on that reality. The other piece today is that Bob Marley's birthday was yesterday. Now, I'm going to trust that you at least have heard the name Bob Marley before, famous Jamaican, famous for his reggae music. And you might be saying, what's that got to do with Black History Month and Canada? Well, here's the reason why I bring up Bob Marley. Did you know that Africans have been in Nova Scotia since the earliest days, when Matthew de Costa arrived with French explorer Samuel de Champlain in 1604? Free and enslaved black people lived in Halifax when it was founded in 1749. And by 1758, about 350 black people from the West Indies were enslaved in and around Fortress Louisbourg. And black loyalists fleeing the American Revolution settled in Birchwood in the 1780s. In the early 1900s, the Dominion Iron and Steel Company recruited hundreds of people from the West Indies to work in Cape Breton. In 1918, the migrants set up one of Canada's first UNIA halls in Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. The chapter was headed by Albert Francis, who had left Barbados in 1916. Other UNIA chapters were established in Sydney in 1919 and New Waterford in 1929. Now, the UNIA's founder was Marcus Garvey, and he was a bit of a controversial character for sure, and yet at the heart of what he was about was this notion that those who were black needed to be emancipated from slavery. They needed to stand up on their own 2 feet. They needed to be economically free as well. He encouraged folks to start their own businesses and not just be imitators of white people, but be full people in and of themselves. Now, eventually Marcus ended up in jail, and eventually he gets invited to come back and give a speech in Canada on the 25th of September, 1937. Now, one of the things you need to realize or know is that years later, Bob Marley would be born in the same community that Marcus was from. And he would grow up reading these speeches. And so I want to share with you a couple of sentences from that speech in 1937. In it, Marcus Garvey says, "The purpose of the UNIA is to emancipate, and our primary duty is to emancipate your minds, because it is the mind that makes the man, that directs him. It is the mind that makes the man, the race, and all that you see material, artistic, and otherwise. Of nature is man's mind working upon nature." You can guess how that phrasing ended up in a song done by Bob Marley called Redemption Songs. Maybe to update the language a little bit, I'll read it to you again. The purpose of the UNIA is to emancipate, and our primary duty is to emancipate your minds, because it is the mind that makes the person, that directs the person. It is the mind that makes the person, the race, and all you see, material, artistic, and otherwise of nature, are people's minds working upon nature. In many ways, the very same things that Marcus wrote about, the very same things he challenged and wanted to overcome and emancipate people from, are still part of the conversation that we're having in Canada today, almost 100 years later. The conversation around racism and what it means to be an anti-racist. The notion of outright racist aggression and then microaggressions have become part of the conversation, part of the social discourse. It's a reminder that we still have so far to go to make sure, as Marcus talks about, that we realize we are all created in the image of God. No one of us is God, and yet all created by the Creator. So I thought tonight, as a way of acknowledging Bob Marley's contribution to the music scene, as a way of acknowledging February as Black History Month in Canada, and as a way of acknowledging the struggle that continues each and every day in big and little ways to actually achieve emancipation, to have it fully realized and fully enfleshed in society, that we'd take a listen to a special version of Redemption Song that features Bob Marley's son, Stephen, along with the folks from Playing for Change. Let's take a listen, and then we'll pray together.
Ships. Many thought that they took God from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you give to see another songs of freedom? Was all I ever heard. Redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. And how long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? And some said it's just a part of it. Well, we've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help me sing another song of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song, yes Lord. Redemption song, redemption song. Wop choo bop choo bop. Come on with me people. Wop choo bop choo bop. Come on with me children.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
So won't you help me sing another song of freedom? It's all I ever had. Oh,
Redemption song,
yes, Lord.
redemption song, redemption song, redemption song.
Songs of freedom.
Friends, let's join together in prayer. Holy One, we give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for the opportunity to emancipate ourselves from systems that enslave and dehumanize, that limit and subjugate, that set up one race, one color, one people, one ethnicity as somehow superior, as somehow more made in your image than anyone else. Help us to remember that you created all of us, and when you created us, you did so in your image, investing a little piece of your holiness in each and every one of us. And so how could any one of us be any more important or any more valued? Because we are all of you. Give us courage, O God, to challenge acts of racism when we see them, when we experience them, when we know them. Help us to resist falling into familiar patterns that have been established by systems. Help us to be anti-racist in the way we go about our lives in the world, in the way we see and experience and encounter one another. May we be agents of emancipation, and may we realize that that journey, in some ways that fight to be emancipated, is still very much a current day struggle, years after legislators and elected officials proclaimed emancipation. Be near us, O God, as we pause for a moment and pour into the silence our prayers for people and places and events around the world. In so doing, may we trust that you not only hear them, that you respond. Ground us, O God, in these everyday experiences, that together we might recognize that regardless of the color of our skin, the work of emancipation is for all of us. The work of being anti-racist is for all of us. For we offer you these prayers, spoken aloud, held in silence, pondered in our hearts, interpreted in our minds. so be it. Amen. Friends, thanks again for joining us here at Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia. 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we post a new version of Pause to Facebook and YouTube. They're there anytime you need them throughout the week, any time of day. It's our sincere hope that wherever you find yourself in this moment, it's a place where you can be safe, be calm, and be community. Let's continue to invest in the common good and common health of one another. Make sure we're wearing our 3-ply masks when we're out in public and doing the things that we need to do to show that we care. And let's remember, the work of emancipation didn't end the day the ink dried on a piece of paper. It's something you and I have to do each and every day. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on Pause.